Okay. Well, I want to welcome everybody to George Music for All Four Seasons. And today we have a special show with Carmine, who is a fan of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. I consider him a first-time generation fan. He has met various members of the Four Seasons, has a nice collection on their music. Also, I consider him an expert on cover versions of the Four Seasons, and we're going to get into that. And today we also have Mr. Anthony joining us, who is also a first generation fan. I'm sure many of you have seen my first show with Anthony, an interview with the real Jersey boy. And we're also going to have a part two, hopefully real soon. But Anthony first saw the Four Seasons back in 1964, I believe. Carmine, right around that time period, 1965.
No, 1966.
66. Thank you, Carmine. But anyway, we're here to talk with Carmine, and Anthony's also joining us to add any little tidbits and questions. So why don't we start off with Carmine? Carmine, where are you from? And again, your first concert was 1966. Share a little bit of that. But again, the first time you heard, please go ahead.
Question. Carmine is a Paisan. So how do you pronounce your last name, Carmine? Is it Basciano? Basciano?
It's Basciano.
Basciano. All right, that's it. Carmine Basciano.
That's a nice Irish, by the way. You know.
Oh no, that's Italiano. 100% Italiano.
Yeah.
And thank you for that, Anthony, because I was not sure on the pronunciation, which I just said Carmine. But thank you. I appreciate that. Anyway, Carmine, so go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. Take it away.
Okay, I was born in Mount Vernon in 1949, Mount Vernon Hospital. Born and raised here, lived here all my life, and I started becoming a Four Seasons fan in '64. That's when it really hit me, due to the fact of the British invasion. I saw what these guys were doing. I was just blown away.
As we all were.
Yeah. And I mean, with the British invasion and all the news on the Beatles, and which I also like the Beatles, but my first passion in music is the Four Seasons. But so it was 1964, and your first time seeing them in concert, again, what year was that, Carmine?
1966 in Yonkers, New York, at a place, believe it or not, oddly called the House of Liverpool.
Oh,
wow.
The House of Liverpool. Oh. Ken Charmer would love that.
Yeah, would.
Anyway, so Carmine, can you tell us a little bit about the concert? How was it? How long was your
recollection?
Before the concert, I had an opportunity to get signatures from Frankie Valli, Joe Long, and Tommy DeVito. Okay, and a question I asked Tommy, I said, Tommy, besides the Bob Crew Orchestra, what of the orchestra performed your hits instrumentally? So he gave some thought. He turned around, he looked at me, and he said, the Holly Rich Strings on Capitol Records. He gave me the referral.
That's correct. He was
correct. Yeah.
His albums.
Yeah.
And I remember when I interacted with Joe Long, and I asked Joe, how many copies did Big Man in Town sell? He said, about 500,000 copies, And he said, well, look out for the release of the new one. I said, well, Joe, what's the name of it? Oh, it's a surprise. Eventually it was Opus 17, because this is like in the spring of '66 around Easter time, Mm-hmm. And I said, Joe, there's one mistake that Bob Crew said. What was that? He says he's your greatest fan, but I'm your greatest fan. He just cracked up. It was really funny.
That would have been the first record that Joe played on, right? Opus 17.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, you got it. I don't nail it.
Oh, okay. And that was after working my way back to you with Charlie Colello, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you. Still getting, picking all this up, and I thank all of you gentlemen for helping me out with this. Carmine, so now after your first concert and then talking with cover versions, how many times did you see the band The Four Seasons throughout the 1960s? If you could share a little bit of that and your intermingling with the band members.
Yeah, right. I saw them in '66 in Yonkers, House of Liverpool, '67 Central Park, which was probably my favorite venue in New York. I saw them in '68 at the White Plains County Center. I saw them in '69 the South Mountain Arena.
South Mountain Arena. Know it well. Yeah. That's in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In Carnegie Hall, where they showcased a brand new act. They sang "Circles in the Sand," "Any Day Now," "Oh Happy Day," and they did "The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore," and they just blew the audience away.
Really?
That was great.
And then I saw them again in '70. I got backstage. Stage both of those shows at Asbury Park, 1970.
Asbury Park, right?
Yeah. Then in
Convention
'70,
Hall.
I saw them at Carnegie Hall. I got backstage, and later on, it was in the spring. Then in the summer of '71, I saw them in Central Park, Women's Memorial Skating Ring. I couldn't get back. Sometimes it happens. Then in, I think, was it '72, I saw them, I think, or '73, the Bushnell Memorial Auditorium in Connecticut. They did 2 shows, and I got backstage, and they were rehearsing "Silence is Golden" with Jerry Polsky on lead.
Wow. That is really interesting. Now, how did you go about meeting some of the original members from the 1960s and Tommy DeVito, Joe Long, Bob Gaudio? How did you meet them? I'm sure after the concerts, correct?
Yeah, after the concert.
I met Nick. Well, I'm going to Nick Massey later on, but I mean, like in '67 was when I think I told you this, George, over the phone. I think discussed it with a few times. I belong to the Four Seasons fan club run by a woman named Joan Trombley from Jackson Heights, Queens, right? So I got the crazy idea. I was with a bunch of friends and all that, and while the Seasons were performing a real incredible concert, people were singing along and clapping like crazy, The energy was incredible, right? And while they were performing, I said, let me go to the barricade, which I did. I approached the barricade. The cops were there. I approached him. And I said, I belong to the Four Seasons fan club. I'd like to know if I can go backstage after the show. So he told me, hold on a minute. I'll see what I can do. So I waited a couple of minutes. All of a sudden, a short Italian-looking guy who introduced himself as Anthony Di Pasquale was one of their road managers, And I showed him the card, and he said, "Oh yeah, sure. I'm sure he'll be glad to see you. Just meet me over here, after the show." I said, "Wow, is this really happening?" I couldn't believe it. I said,
Wow.
maybe he's, I'm BSing. I don't know. So I ran back in excitement to my friends and all that. I said, "Guess what? They let me go backstage." My friends stopped laughing. Their eyes popped out of their head, their jaws dropped.
Yeah.
So after the incredible concert, I mean, God, they were smoking like crazy on stage with "Let's Hang On" and "Ragdoll," and I think "I Got You Under My Skin" is the last 3 songs of the show. People just clapping their hands, singing along, standing up, and all that. Laughing at the comedy between Joe and Tommy. And finally, so I went to the barricade, and Anthony came over. He grabbed me. I was waiting outside. There was a big, like part of a home mobile, thing. Like what do they call things? The mobile homes look like that.
Right.
Trailer.
And there was like a mob of people outside, and there was some very attractive black women I saw out there. I don't know who they were. They looked like models. They were there to see Frankie and all that. And then he came out, gave them a hug and kissed, and I was waiting and waiting. And he said, "Don't worry about it. Your turn is coming up soon." So finally, they opened the door, let me come in, and I handed my card to him, and they were inspecting it. So Mike DeVito, Tommy's brother, was there. He was looking at the card, and he handed it back to me. He says, "Okay, you can talk to Tommy and all that." So I talked to Tommy and all that. So I asked him about, are there any other cover versions of Opus 17? He said, "No, not that he know it. No, he knew of. He being honest and all that." And he asked me, "Where are you from?" I said, "Gee, Mount Vernon, New York. You think he's going to know where that's at?" I said, "Well, I'm from Mount Vernon, New York, and you know where it is?" "Sure, I know where it is, So is Joe Long around?" He said, you pointed in typical Tommy DeVito style. "He's right there behind the door, I said, "Go ahead, go see him. Go see him. Go see him." Because they said Gaudio was busy being interviewed. So I knocked on the door. I said, "Hello, Joe. My name's Carmine. Big fan of yours. Did I take a picture?" "Sure." So I took a picture of him. I'm sorry. And, we had a nice chat and all that. We talked about, music. He said he liked the Beatles as his favorite group. And, he wanted to know where I was from. I mentioned Mount Vernon. He said, "Yeah, I know where it is. We're neighbors, And he was very nice to talk to and so forth. And some other guys backstage with him. I don't know who was in that room. Then afterwards, Gaudio, I think, was just about through with the interview. When I saw him, and he looked pretty exhausted. Tommy looked tired, too. I guess they all were after being on stage.
Yeah.
So I'm walking by Gaudio, and I said, "Hey, Bob, you look like Steve Reeves with that beard on." He said, "Well, I may look like him. I sure don't feel like him." He smiled, and he winked his eye at me, and that was it. What a great night.
Wow. It sure sounds like it. Carmine, I did not know that you met Mike DeVito. And the reason I asked is because I guess maybe the past year, I think it was in Charlie Colello's book, and talking with some of the guys from the Facebook pages. I guess Mike DeVito worked in the Four Seasons band. He was part of.
No, it was Tommy's
He
brother,
was the,
older brother. I think he did some help on the road sometimes and all
right.
that.
He
But
was like a roadie, essentially, what we would call a
that's
roadie these days.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But like it's that night was the most exciting night of my life. I was such a wreck because they made the announcement the Seasons broke the attendance record that night.
oh, really?
Yeah, they broke the attendance. I think they overfilled it, which I think is against the Department of Health Safety regulations, truthfully, because they kept letting people in and only holds 5,000 more people coming in. And everybody thought all the young rascals who were hot at record sales wise were going to break the attendance record, but it was the Seasons who did it. They had the top attendance record there.
And during that time period, the Rascals were very hot at the time, right?
Oh, yes,
They
they
were
definitely.
grooving.
Yeah.
And local celebrity, I think Anthony may know it, is Clay Cole was stomping his feet and he was singing Let's Hang On and all that.
Oh,
I spoke
yeah. Clay Cole. He had a TV show.
right. And he said,
City.
this is the greatest concert he ever saw, he said.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That was something
He
else.
was
Yeah.
sort of the Dick Clark of New York City, Clay Cole.
Okay. So Clay Cole
But
was that big, correct? Because I mean, Dick Clark
Yeah,
was here.
locally in New York City. He
Got
had
it.
a TV show.
he was local Dick Clark, as Anthony points out.
Okay.
Yeah. The Four Seasons appeared on his show many times, several
Yeah,
times.
when they made their comeback, well, Let's Hang On, Charlie was there. And I noticed Nick was gone. I said, oh, Nick's gone. I couldn't recognize who Charlie was. And then Clay Cole says, we got Charlie over here. Charlie, I didn't know his name was Colello at that time, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Now, Carmine, you had sent me copies of photos you had taken with the Four Seasons, and the pictures appear to be back from the late 1960s, I believe, with Gaudio, DeVito. You had some shots of Frankie Valli. Now, those were from various concerts throughout that decade. Am I correct?
Right, yeah. 67 was Frankie. You know, you see his face is lit up. There's a lot of bright lights on his face when I took a picture. And Joe Long backstage was normal. I didn't get a chance to take a picture of Tommy. Gaudio, I had a picture of him. That was at the bottom line where they were like trying to showcase the new Four Seasons back in 78.
Yeah.
That's what that.
Oh, in 78. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, speaking of 78, I've posted on the Music for All Four Seasons channel some clips of Frankie Valli at a concert in Central Park during the month of July when Grease was riding high on the charts.
Yeah.
Were you at that concert?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
That was when he went solo. He was solo then, right?
Thank you, Anthony. Yes,
Yeah.
that was maybe about a year after he had broke the news that he was going to go out on his own.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And now that crowd seemed pretty riled up regarding Frankie Valli's performance. Can you just share a little bit about that concert, Carmine?
I know that one. Not that one. You know, no, it was a good concert. It was a good concert. I mean, it wasn't my favorite because 67 was the most unforgettable to me. You know what I mean?
Really?
But it was a concert. It definitely was. You know, people were excited dancing, you know,
Yeah.
in the like that. Sure.
Yeah, Frankie Valli was very active on stage, goofing around a bit.
Behind him and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when they had that dancer too, that Tony Walters. He would always dance around the stage.
Exactly. That's right. Yes, looked like a spinning top. Just
Right.
great dancer. Yeah. Got it. Now, Carmine, you have a vast collection of cover versions of the Four Seasons catalog. When did you get into that? And I know to this day, you still actively collect and search out cover versions. Can you share a little bit of that regarding that part of the
I'd be
hobby?
more than glad. I got to get it off my chest and get the steam out of me. You know, get the
No,
stress.
I know. You're excited to share that, and we want to hear it.
Well, it all happened in 1965. I was over my aunt's house, and I brought a friend of mine over because my aunt and uncle were friends with my friend John. And they let us play the stereo, play my Four Seasons records or whatever. And they also put the radio on. And they had a station on that played instrumental music. So one day we were over there, you know, we turned on the dial, all of a sudden here, I said, John, it's Let's Hang On. I said, yeah, it's Let's Hang On. I freaked out. I couldn't believe it. It was very up-tempo, very brassy with a big band sound. Fantastic.
Wow.
And to this day, I think that's the best instrumental version of "Let's Hang On" by none other than the great Percy Faith.
Really?
Percy
Interesting.
Faith. Oh boy, that's pretty. Yeah.
At the end of it, I had to find out it was him because I called up the station and I said, I'd like to know who performed the instrumental version of "Let's Hang On." Of course, they said Percy Faith. I said, "Can you play for me?" He said, "Sure, I can play for you." So, like a nut, I ran all the way from my house to my aunt's house, about a mile away. She wasn't home.
So
You remember what station that was?
I'm sorry.
I say you remember what station that was playing Percy Faith. It wasn't WABC.
No, it wasn't ABC. It was an easy listening station. I never heard of an easy listening station, but I was familiar with the format,
Yeah.
But also, another week later, we were there. I heard "Don't Think Twice" with a big band arrangement. I said, "What the hell is going on here?
really?
What is going on? Why didn't I never knew they were doing all this. I mean, oh my God,
Yeah, and Don't Think Twice. That was a huge hit for the Four Seasons, I believe, and you can help me out at number
hit number 12. Number 12.
Yeah, that was
when Let's Hang On was number 3, I guess.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Now, so that was the start of you collecting and building your library of cover versions.
Yeah, right.
Carmine?
I bought the Bob Crew Orchestra first. I bought that. Then I bought the Hollywood Strings. Then I looked up "Let's Hang On." I went to my local record store. I found out "Let's Hang On" was on the Percy Faith album titled "The In Crowd," themes for the In Crowd.
Okay.
I don't
And
have that one.
what's that, Anthony?
I said I don't have that one.
Okay. Now the Bob Crew album, who does the Four Seasons song instrumentally, there were 2 album versions of that. Am I correct? One with the picture of the Four Seasons, and then the face of Bob Crew. Now the first release has an additional 2 extra songs that the second album does not have. Right, Carmine? Anthony, maybe you'd know.
I don't have 2. I only have the one with the Seasons picture on. I don't have the one with Bob Crew, but Anthony could probably help you out on that.
Yeah, I do have the one with Bob Crew, but I don't recall what the other 2 songs were. Maybe it was Ronnie and
I think it was "Hugging My Pillow"
that's it.
And maybe "Candy Girl." I think "Candy Girl," but "Hugging My Pillow."
"Hugging My Pillow" is definitely one of them.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Carmine, so back to the cover version. So after you heard "Let's Hang On" by Percy Faith and the instrumental version of "Don't Think Twice" done Four Seasons style, where did you go from there?
Okay, now we leap forward to 1967. Frankie had the huge hit with "Can't Take My Eyes Off You," which is now a classic and an awesome standard, right?
Massive.
Now I'm hearing the Letterman perform, the medley, "Going Out of My Head," "Can't Take My Eyes Off You," Vicky Cole hit with it, and Andy Williams and Frankie Valli. So you talk about 4 artists who had hits, who had hits with it around within the same year, which I thought was. And then I think it was this, what the heck was it? I wasn't collecting that much. A year later, I noticed more versions of it. I collected an album by the Mystic Moods Orchestra.
Yeah.
They did "Eyes Off You" beautifully, very in a dreamlike,
arrangement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And from there,
well, there was a big gap. There was a gap of time. I think we leap forward and move into the the era of the mid 80s, late 80s.
Correct.
And I discovered a wonderful station called WHUD, the Mid Hudson Valley, called HUD. And I found out an old friend of mine. I used to work at a supermarket, First National Stores, was named Jim Valli, no pun intended. He was a program director over there. I called up, and they said, Jim Valli's I said, wow, it's probably the same Jim Valli I knew. And we talked, and it was him. We had a nice chat and all that, and talked about cover versions. But on that station, I would hear "Sherry" by Nick Ingman, "Ragdoll" by Nick Ingman, and I think I heard "Silence's Golden," but I don't know who did it. As a matter of fact, I met Jim and Joe O'Brien. He used to be one of the WMCA good guys.
Good guys, yeah. Joe O'Brien in the morning.
Yeah, I met them at the White Plains County Center. They had a convention, and they gave me 2 free CDs: Whitney Houston's "Star Spangled Banner" and a Gloria Estefan CD. That was nice of them to do that, But that station I used to listen to a lot. But then, as time went on, while I was paying attention to that, I discovered another station called WPAT, located in West Paterson, New Jersey, which I found out was the number 1 easy listening station in the nation, and also a referral for retail sales for the easy listening music shop out in Montrose, California.
Wow. Wow. Interesting. Interesting. About,
And,
go
I
ahead,
remember
Carmine.
WPIT. I didn't know it was the #1 easy listening station in the country, though.
But it was, they often refer, I mean, like, 'cause people would
Yeah.
call up and they, where can they get this type of music? And they refer to the easy listening music shop. And I called them up, and they were owned by Roger Cook and Tom Dimebag. Roger Cook, by the way, was my mentor in music, my friend in music, you know, and that started a great relationship with them. So I said, look, I'm a big Four Seasons fan. And they said, send us a list of songs that they made, and we'll let you know if they have them. So then I called them up after I mailed it to them. And they said, well, so far we got Ragdoll and Silence is Golden by Franz Lambert, who was one of the wizards of the electric synthesizer in Europe, Franz Lambert, right?
Hmm.
And so they made a CD for me. No, I mean, I'm sorry, they made an audio tape for me, and they mailed it to me. And I played it in my car. It just blew me away. It's fantastic. You know, it really was. And he just used an organ synthesizer with a choir, the Dreamland Singers, you know. But there was another surprise on it. The sun ain't gonna shine anymore. And he did one of the best instrumental versions I ever heard of that song with a choir.
Really?
Yeah. And it doesn't stop there, you know.
Keep going, my friend.
I also found out of his fan club, and I wrote to him, and I corresponded to whoever was handling it, that I liked his cover version of the Four Seasons, you know, and the guy said, I'll let Franz know about it. I'd like to know if he could send me some autographs. So lo and behold, about a few weeks later, I get something in the mail from Europe, 2 autographs from him.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's
And it
pretty
doesn't
good.
stop there. It keeps going, you know, like while we're on that subject, I'll stay focused. I also found out who did Ragdoll and Sherry on WHUD was Nick Ingman. He and Tony, by the way, Tony Hatch, I'm sorry, was an arranger for Petula Clark. They were like partners, you know.
Yeah.
And I called him up, and I wanted to find out where I could get those cover versions. So one day I came home from work, you know, and I played my answering machine, and I hear a guy with a thick British accent saying, "Hello, Mr. Carmine. This is Nick Ingman. A while ago, I did a for Sherry and Ragdoll, and I'm sorry I can't help you out, but I wouldn't know where to, you know, refer you to." I said, "Okay, fine," you know. But that wasn't the end of it. By the mid '80s, the easy listening music genre was slowly nosediving to its death, and eventually crashed by 1990.
Right.
Because once the era of the '80s was out of the picture and the '90s was ushered into the picture, there weren't that many songs that had great melodies for orchestras to perform. And that's what I was told by Roger Cook, the owner of it. Wasn't, you know. And I also spoke to Eric Kunzel's manager. He conducted the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, and he said it's also too expensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know, but then what happened eventually? I got in touch. I was recommended to Marlon Taylor. He was the executor of the estate of the Bonneville catalog, which consisted of 400 cover versions that were programmed to be played on easy listening stations across the country, as well as, you know, station near me, WHUD, the Mid Hudson Valley, you know. Right. And like when I found that out, a friend of mine helped me order some, and I got the versions of Sherry, Ragdoll, Can't Take My Eyes Off You, and Working My Way Back to You. Now, Candy Girl too. Candy Girl, Working My Way Back to You, and Can't Take My Eyes Off You were done by a guy now by the name of Les Acevedo. This guy turned out to be shady, you know. He was selling illegally selections from the Bonneville catalog out in Las Vegas until he got caught.
Really?
Yeah. But getting back to
that's not good.
He was a pleasure to talk to, and he referred me to a group once, you know, easy listening genre, you know, fossilized. Beautiful instrumentals at yahoogroups.com, you know. So I joined them, and it was really fun, you know, because you could interact. You vote for your favorite band leader, Burt Kempfert, Paul Moriarty, James Last, et cetera, right? You do. And like you exchange gifts. One guy sent me 9 CDs, you know.
Oh, that was nice.
I from I think Taiwan sent me a CD by John Gregory with the only instrumental version I know of, December '63. Oh, What a Night! It was terrific.
Now that yeah, I don't think I've heard that. I think you may have sent it, but I'm not sure. So once easy listening stations, the format was leaving the radio, where did you go from there? You just search them out now on the internet. Well, and then now, thank God, we have YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, it took years later until I think the mid 2000s, late 2000s, to find out about the cover, discover the cover version. But I have another story to tell while we're on track.
Please.
Stu Phillips did the Holly Rich Strings, right? And he
Right.
wrote a book, which he autographed to me, personally, and I ordered from him, and I also was in touch with him by email, and I told him I know one of the Four Seasons personally, Joe Long, and he said, did they like my version of it? I said, sure, they loved it. He used to play it all the time before the opening of their concerts, and
Right.
autographed to Carmine, a true fan, and he also sent me another email, say, hey, Carmine, you forgot to include the $5 for shipping or whatever it was, but since you're a true fan of mine, and I'm going to pay for it. That was it.
Well, that was nice.
And here's another secret too. Where did you think they got the name Holly Ridge Strings from?
I don't know.
I don't
Anthony?
know.
Okay.
No.
Hollywood, there are two streets. One his name is Holly, one his name is Rich. So they amalgamated them together, and it became Holly Ridge Strings.
Okay. Now let me ask you. Now, where does that band or orchestra originate from?
I believe they're from California. They did some other artists too. They're from California.
They had a whole collection.
They're considered the best easy listening orchestra around. They were wonderful. They were, As a matter of fact, he sent me a gift. He made a CD of the Holly Ridge Strings for me, Stu Phillips, and also another CD of other Holly Ridge String versions of pop songs they did, which were really wonderful.
Yeah.
Right. And now I know they also have an album out on the Beach Boys, Elvis, and the Beatles.
Yeah, they did the song. They did, yeah.
Right.
And another interesting story. I think I left class early when I was going to school in Manhattan, and I was coming through Central Park. I said, let me go to Times Square to go to these little quaint shops hidden here and there, and these stores,
Yeah.
And I walked in there. It was a music shop, and I wasn't thinking of anything in particular, nothing at all. But I went over to the instrumental section, and all of a sudden, something staring right at me. East meets West. Beach Boys and Four Seasons. Right-hand side is blue, left-hand side is red.
That's right.
Orchestra. And I picked it up, and he did a terrific version of at least 5 or 6 of their songs.
I'm sorry, Carmine, can you name the name of the orchestra? Because I don't think that came through.
The Andrew Loog Orchestra.
Got it. And you still have that album to this day?
Yes, I do.
Because that's a very pricey album. Very, very pricey.
Now that we're on the subject, we're focused, we're on a good roll. I told you I bought an album, LP, a 12-inch of a disco version of Save It For Me by Vanessa Barnes. I had to pay $100 for that.
Wow. Talk about pricey.
I didn't that Andrew Loog instrumental. I didn't think they did a very good job on that personally.
No. You didn't care for it, Anthony?
No, I didn't think the arrangements of the songs were very good at all.
I liked it because it was different than previous versions I had heard. Now this Andrew Lugham,
I think Andrew, I may be mistaken, but I think he actually was the producer for the Rolling Stones.
He was also a close friend of Bob Crewe. Very close friend.
Yes, and he really admired Bob Crewe's work.
A lot. Yes.
If you got Bob, they put out a book. Actually, it's more about his artwork, Bob Crewe.
Yes.
And that fellow wrote one of the chapters in that book.
You're right. And that book just came out a couple years ago.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, you have a copy. I believe Carmine has a copy. Very interesting book.
Yeah, it is.
Again, focused towards Bob Crewe's artwork because he was a great artist.
Yeah.
But yes, as Carmine stated, Andrew Lugham and Bob Crewe were very good friends throughout their
here's something before I forget that it's on my mind. Years ago, ABC used to play public service commercials with one of their DJs for some charitable organization, right? And I'm listening to it, and all of a sudden, I hear the strings go dun 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 da 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 da. Dawn. I don't know who did it. I have no idea. No idea.
You were
You know?
never you were never able to find out.
No, I couldn't because it was a commercial, a public service commercial. But I called up BMI years ago, and I want to know how many versions of Dawn Go Away, licensed by them, cover versions. Oh, the only one we have is Dawn Go Away. Yeah, but a friend of mine told me that there was one by Raymond Lefevre, and he gave me
yeah.
no, but the correct pronunciation is Raymond Lefevre.
Okay,
You
okay.
know,
What was
he
the
did.
what was it? Well, he had a hit song. What was it?
Oh
Remember?
God, he had. Oh my God. Oh, I know he had. I'm trying to think.
It was. I think it was called Soul Strutting. Soul
Yeah,
Strutting.
Ah,
song I Can Never Love You More. That's another song he did too.
okay, okay.
But I'll tell you, I'll give you some of the best cover versions I heard. The best Sherry instrumental was by Hugo Montenegro.
Ah, yes. Very good. Yeah.
Let's hang on.
I have never heard that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carmine.
Yeah, I'll send it to you when I get you.
Okay.
That's
Also,
probably where I heard it. Probably Carmine sent it to me.
yeah. Let's Hang On by Percy Faith, best instrumental version. Okay. The best vocal Big Girls Don't instrumental version, Big Girls Don't Cry, Sammy Lowe and his orchestra. The best instrumental version of Sunny Gonna Shine More by the Royal Philharmonic.
Ah, yes, that is beautiful.
Cover version of the Sunny Gonna Shine More, Peter Hoffman, incredible baritone. And the best cover version of Silence is Golden by that Swedish singer Jim Jed. Fantastic.
Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. Carmine, can you share with us a little bit of your interaction you had with Bob Gaudio regarding cover versions? If I may say, I believe, Carmine, you have participated in a few radio shows at the actual radio station, and you had an interaction with Bob Gaudio, correct?
My good friend Jim Petrecca,
yes, Jim.
So they had me interview Bob Gaudio, and I asked him some questions. I mean, we started the show off. We surprised by playing "The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore" by the Royal Philharmonic, And then Eddie, started, introducing him, and all that. Then I believe I was the first person to speak. It was about 10 years ago. So, and Gaudio admitted that is the first time I heard that version. He said, "Who was that by?" I said, "The Royal Philharmonic." Royal Philharmonic, good company, he said. Then towards the end of the show, Teddy Smith, who was the host.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear an instrumental version of December 63, Oh, What a Night? And he said, you know what? He started, I don't think I've ever heard one. I better start typing into your files. He referring to me, Yeah. So he encouraged us by saying, send some of them in. I like to have some of them. We've always supported people who supported us. So I sent Gaudio about 60 cover versions, and he signed an album for me.
That show is on YouTube, Carmen.
I beg your pardon?
That show is on YouTube.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yes.
It's available on YouTube.
I know, but I got to admit, I was just a little bit nervous doing it with him. I was just a little bit nervous.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was great. It was great. So, Carmine, what else do you have for us regarding cover versions?
Oh my God! Oh God! Jesus, I got so much. I mean, John Barrowman did a great vocal version of December '63. Oh, What a Night!
Really?
I have that on CD. He did a terrific version. Yeah. Also, I think the Saturdays, a female group.
Yeah.
They Begging, the best vocal version I like.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Begging, the Saturdays they call themselves.
Considering two of the biggest versions by, was it Manoskin
and Madcon. Now,
Madcon.
And they had 1 billion, latest 600 million. And that's the first song ever on Spotify to reach 1 billion. The first song.
Really?
Yes, and it also won the American Music Award, I think, in 2021.
And this is by who again?
Madison.
Okay, got it.
They're Italian.
Yes, correct.
Bill must have gotten an award, a duplicate award, because he wrote the song with Peggy Farina.
Oh, yeah. In fact, there was an interview with this co-writer with Bob Gaudio, who wrote Beggin', and I heard her on a radio show how just that one song has really taken care of her as far as receiving the checks in the mail.
Yeah.
One song.
Wow. She has the demo in the box set.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She
did the demo of Beggin'. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's a nice little gem there. Right.
If the YouTube plays for Beggin' by Madcon, it's all about a couple 100 million or more, and plus another couple hundred million by Maneskin. It's still counting, you know. And phew, that song's phenomenal, you know. And
Yeah.
say this, I know people aren't going to like it, but I can't think of any other major artists, whether it be Elvis Presley or the Beatles or the Stones, who had one of their songs remade that became bigger years later that did over $1 billion. You can't even prove that.
Yeah, so the song was written in
You're right.
1967. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 40 plus years later, it becomes, a huge international hit.
Huge.
Right.
Huge.
It was ahead of its time. It really was ahead of its time, Anthony.
Way ahead of its time. Yeah.
Way ahead. I mean, I knew
did-
it was a song, you know. I mean, there was something about it. It had like a, how could I say, some sort of kick to it. I can't explain, you know.
Yeah. And
Kind of-
I think that when the Four Seasons released that should have made it into the top 10. But then again, maybe everybody says that about their favorite artist or band. But I believe it made number 18. 16. Yeah. Got it.
Well, other people have covered it too, like what the Shocking Blue. That's another act that covered.
Oh,
yeah.
You know? And like with Can't Take My Eyes Off You, there's a Colombian guy's name is Anthony Boventura. He did two versions of Can't Take My Eyes Off You.
Right. Yeah, that's on YouTube. Yeah.
And like some other cover version I can think of, like not only Can't, but Rag Doll was covered by James Last twice, and he did Silence is Golden. He is known as the king of the cover versions and probably the most successful band leader there ever was, because like he's performed in person and draw huge crowds besides selling anywhere between 50 and 100 million CDs.
Wow, I didn't know that. Interesting.
And he also sent me his autograph.
Oh, okay, nice.
You have a lot of autographs there, Carl.
Also, on top of that, there was a guy named Simon Bell who sings in his choir. He sent me a couple of autographs, and he was a backup singer for James Last and Dusty Springfield.
Interesting. With Dusty Springfield. And you said James Last?
Last, L-A-S.
L-A-S-T, yeah, Last.
Got it.
Well, his fans call him Hansi. His real name is Hansi Last. And his brother was Kai Werner. Excuse me. And James Last was also good close friends with Bert Kemper.
Bert Kemper. Yes.
Interesting.
Bert Kemper lived in New Jersey.
What famous song did Bert Kemper write?
African Beat and That Happy Feeling.
Well, but for Frank Sinatra, he wrote Strangers in the Night for Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Oh.
Songs. Yeah, he did. Yeah. He did. He sure did.
God, this is interesting. Well, Carmine, what else do you have regarding cover versions, or do you want to wrap up that part of the segment?
Hey, well, you were talking about instrumentals. How about, did you ever hear the Ventures version? I think they did a version of Let's Hang On. The Ventures, of course, that goes back to the 50s. They were a very popular guitar band.
Oh, they were huge in the 60s.
Well, I know Santo and Johnny did Sherry.
Yeah, Santo and Johnny, and the Ventures. Yeah. I was quite surprised.
Yeah. Well, I saw him at a party, but I didn't want to go up to him. He looked very depressed and he was crying over something. I think he was married to Peggy Farina because his last name was Farina. That's what I was told. I'm not sure about that.
Well, that is his last name. I don't know if he was married to Peggy Farina, though.
Yeah, but her real name is Peggy Santiglia. That's her maiden name.
She's from Belleville, New Jersey.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Now, just so everybody knows that, and they may know who Peggy Santiglia, Peggy Farina, Santiglia. She was a member of the Angels with My Boyfriend's Back, correct?
Right. She sang lead on that. Yeah.
Oh, she sang lead on that.
Yeah, she was the lead singer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Her day, she was a hottie. I'll tell you that.
She was a very attractive lady. Now, did her and Gaudio write anything else besides Beggin'?
September Rain.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know if I should say this. We think I should mention it if it's a little secret or what?
If it's something of a hush hush
personal nature.
No, it's not nothing dirty per se.
Oh, okay.
Songwriting credits. Is that okay? It's up to you.
Yeah. Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, that's fine.
Go ahead.
Well, I know, according to Tommy DeVito, when I hung out with him, he said Gaudio liked her so much that he gave her credit for it, but he wrote the song alone. That's the secret.
Really?
Well, they say that about Gaudio with his wife, Judy Parker, right?
I don't know. Really? I never heard. Park, but I know Peggy Santiglia, I got it from the horse's mouth. Somebody told me about it.
Really? That is interesting. Yeah. She may have something to say about that, right? So Peggy, if you're out there.
Well, she was a songwriter though in her own right. She wrote songs. She originally started with a group called the Delicates, and they had a few minor hit records, and they wrote those songs themselves. So
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, I don't think she was incapable of
Right.
But
Oh, I want to get back to the cover version topic again. I
Yeah.
remember when WHUD and PAT became extinct, guys, Anthony, George.
Yeah.
Now the guy who owned the rights to the custom-made recordings. That's what they call them, which I'll go into it after this, of a Candy Girl and I think some other song. So I called the guy up in Chicago and I said, look, if I paid you, could you make some copies of it? He says, no, I can't do that. He told me he owned the rights to the recordings, not the rights to the song. So that's kind of tricky.
Oh, yeah. I'm still a little confused regarding how all of that works. The rights, songwriting rights.
First of all, a custom-made recording is a recording that's made in studio by an arranger. He gets paid a flat fee, and it's programmed to be played on easy listening music format, on radio stations. That's how that works.
Okay.
But it's funny, like, no, the artist owns the rights to the song. They got to get paid every time a cover version gets played. They have to get paid for it, But this guy owned the recordings of it. See, that's a different thing.
Right.
Version. See, so that's another kind of tricky thing.
So then when that song is played, he owns it, so he gets a certain percentage. Gaudio or whoever else wrote it would also get a percentage.
Maybe, I don't know. That's stuff I know, but I think I told you, George, about a few weeks ago, I was trying to get in touch with Marlon Taylor, who I spoke to personally, who owned the Bonneville catalog. I wanted to speak to him because I spoke to him years ago, and I want to ask him more about cover versions, for research.
Right. And has he reached back out to you or not as of yet?
I sent him an email. I guess I'll have to try to send an email too. I'll even give him my phone number because I know I had his personal phone number. Thanks to my Roger Cook, my listing shop. And here's an interesting thing about that. When they imported cover versions for their shop for retail sales, it was imported from Holland and would come to Newark Airport. It had to pass customs inspection. Once it did, it was cleared. It was shipped out to Montrose, California, to the Easy Listening Shop for them to sell product to the customer. That's how that works.
Okay, interesting. Okay, Carmine. Well, anything else regarding cover versions so we can tie this part up? You tell me. Go ahead, Anthony.
I was going to say, what's the worst cover version of a Four Seasons song you heard?
I got a good story on that. Walk Like a Man by that transvestite Divine. Horrible.
Yeah, that's horrible. I agree.
I'll tell you another funny story. I used to be a salesman for a company in Belleville, New Jersey called Bloomfield, called Broadway Sales. I was a salesman for Uncle Ben's. And I think I was driving on Lexington Avenue. It was on the east side and all that. I turn around, I see this outlandish car, like Cadillac, real flaming, colors pink and all that.
Yeah.
And it's fine behind me, the transvestite.
Oh God.
Yeah. How about another? The one I was thinking of.
Sorry.
I was gonna. Well, if you had another one you wanted to mention.
No, I said. Well, I heard Gaudio was pissed off at the way they did it. He did. They wanted to sue Divine. He thought it was horrible.
Yeah.
Then I know the girls who did "It's Rainy Night in Georgia." They did "Big Girls Don't Cry," but they did it in a fun way.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
And another horrible version of Four Seasons cover, Mrs. Miller. Let's Hang On. Right. Oh God. Horrible.
That's the one I was thinking of.
That's the one.
Let's Hang On.
Probably some doing all that horrible, and also I got a version of "Big Girls Don't Cry" on an album by Dr. Demento. I can't think of the woman who sang it, but it's kind of fun, really goofy.
Yeah. What do you think of that version of Sherry by, I want to say Rupert Holmes, but I could be wrong? Came out in 1980. It kind of.
I'm talking about Adrian Baker.
No. It wasn't Adrian Baker. It came out in late 79, early 81. It was a version of Sherry. Oh,
well, Robert John did Sherry.
Robert John.
That's it.
That's good. That's very good. Robert John was a great singer. Charlie Colello worked with him.
Oh, okay.
Well, you hit something on the button because there were two other sources besides the easy listening where I got cover versions from. One was called Hard to Find, and one was called Dislocation. And I was, until they folded, went out of business. But one guy was so nice that I bought so many cover versions from him. He said, I got one by Robert John, a 12-inch one, and John stretches out the cover versions for the length of that 12-inch, and it was good. I thought it was very good,
Okay, interesting. Well, Carmine, this is some really great information. I don't think I have talked or have met anybody else that has such a vast collection and musical knowledge regarding cover versions by Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. I don't know if Anthony has, but you're kind of like the go-to guy. There's
a fellow, I don't know, maybe Carmine. There's a fellow on YouTube by the name of Tom Hawk, Hawk.
Okay.
He's posted actual videos of many covers. Covers.
Oh wow! I have the link sent to me. I like to check him out, see how good he is.
Yeah,
Tom Hawk. Okay.
You could just Google it.
Yeah, Google it or search it on YouTube, right? And the channel name is Tom Hawk.
Yeah, Tom Hawk. Cover.
Okay.
I just Googled cover versions of songs by Four Seasons, and that one came up.
Okay.
Tom Hawk.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
You could also there's the secondhand songs too.
Oh yeah, I remember them secondhand songs who did it first. But again, I want to emphasize, neither of these lists you see when you do your research on Facebook are complete. They're all varied, and because again, like I said a number of times, when it comes to cover versions, I will take a line out from Jersey Boys. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
Same thing. Cover version goes into perpetuity. It never stops. It just goes. And I think it's going to continue.
Right. What's the most covered Four Seasons song that you've encountered?
I would say "Can't Take My Eyes Off You." I think about 400 versions, something like that. The best.
I would say that's probably the most covered.
Not anymore. I think it's about 100 versions.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's Can't Take My Eyes Off You. That's
and of the Four Seasons songs, I think it's December '63.
I'll have to look into that. But I'd have to check multiple sources. I couldn't rely on secondhand songs or
that's right. You can't.
Also, www.gem.com. That's another source. That's where I found Maurice Williams' version of Sherry, which I thought was terrible. He did a terrible job on that.
What was it? Whose?
Maurice Williams. He did Sherry.
Is that right?
I didn't know that.
Well, Maurice Williams did not sing the falsetto on "Stay." It was another member of the group.
No, and now we're on. Now I'm rolling a little bit. There was also a group from Manhattan, a black group. They covered "I'm Gonna Change," but the way they did it really stunk. I hate to say it.
Yeah. That group was originally a doo-wop group. I think there was the Velvets or something like that. The Velours. Their name was the Velours. They were a doo-wop group, and then of course doo-wop sort of went out of fashion, and they went over to England and they changed their name to the Fantastics. They actually opened for the Four Seasons when the Four Seasons toured in England.
Right. Yeah.
And they did a cover version of "I'm Gonna Change."
Okay.
Also, there was like a version of "Let's Hang On" done in rhythm blues style, which I thought was very good by Johnny Johnstone.
Yes.
It was like Temptation style, but it was good as a rhythm and blues, And also there was "Let's Hang On" by Nancy Boyd and Salazar. Those are two of the best versions I heard of "Let's Hang On."
Johnny Johnston and the Bandwagon. It's Johnny Johnston and the Bandwagon.
Right.
Interesting.
Right. But also, like I said, going back, the best two other versions I heard were Nancy Boyd. She's terrific.
Yeah, she's good. She's Dutch or something. I think she's
Belgium. Yeah, she does a great version. And also,
"Working My Way Back to You." Also,
yeah, I got that in my collection. And Salazar.
Yes, Salazar. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's
those
right.
were all very good.
Yeah, do Let's person on the web.
The best. Now this is they didn't do. I don't know if you'd say cover. They were a cover group before anyone. It was a group called Playground. You familiar with?
Oh, yes.
They were good. Yeah.
Yeah,
they were good. I saw them at, believe it or not, what was that underground club? I got free tickets, where all the stars would go to in Manhattan. The closed Studio 54. I saw them there.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
And I saw them at the High Low Club that used to be open here, and they were really good.
They were.
But
Yeah, I think the
Baker,
what's
Adrian
that?
Baker, he does the best falsetto on Frankie. Adrian Baker does the best Four Seasons, I think.
Now, is Adrian Baker, is he the lead singer of that group that had that big
Gidea Park. Gidea Park.
Gidea Park? Okay.
That's where he's from. That's just the name of the town where he's from, Gidea Park.
Oh, okay.
That's the
Okay.
name of the
Because
group.
that was a pretty big hit in what, 81, 82?
Played that a lot. I had that. Is he from England?
Yeah, he's English. Yeah, from
Oh,
I don't know where in England it is, but it's in England.
okay.
It's English.
Interesting.
Well, he also toured with Frankie for a while too.
Yes, he toured with the Beach Boys and he toured with Frankie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Adrian Baker. Yeah, yeah. Now he's still around, right?
He's really tough to beat.
He's what?
He's tough to
live
beat.
version of Sherry.
Oh,
you see him, but he's really tough to beat. He's got a very strong falsetto. Very strong.
The last I saw, he was with this group called Do Ron Ron or some name like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but they do all cover of old songs, and of course his one is Sherry. He does the Sherry.
Got it.
Yeah, he did two versions of that. He did two versions of.
Yeah.
He did two versions of that. Definitely.
Well, Carmine, do you want to wrap up cover versions so we can go to some closing comments?
Sure. Yeah, we can wrap that up.
Okay,
sure.
So do you want to wrap up cover versions, or is that it?
Yes, that's it on the cover version. Sure.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate your vast knowledge that you've shared. It's great. And again, you are still actively pursuing cover versions to this day, right? It's become a big part of your music collecting hobby. Am I correct?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, it's like a separate universe. I mean,
exactly.
Navigator, like sailing on a ship, exploring uncharted waters. Only I'm along the sea of music and the along the ocean waves. That's how it feels. It's a different thing, and it makes it more interesting because then sometimes you do get tired of hearing the original. I want to hear something else where it's fresh.
Right. Now, Carmine, let me ask you here, since we're going to move on now. When was the last time you saw Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons in concert?
Oh, God, a long time ago at the Borgata. I got backstage.
Oh, okay. And this was around what time period?
Yeah, Atlantic City. Yeah, Atlantic City. Yeah.
Around what year, roughly?
Oh, 12 years ago. I went with Jim, my
okay.
friend. Yeah, Jim was responsible. He had the passes because he knew Frankie's daughter, Tony. We got backstage, and their road manager, Dean Egnator, let us go backstage.
Oh, yeah. That was nice. Now,
and Gaudio's daughters are back there, Danielle and Lisa.
Oh, okay. In fact, if I may ask one of you gentlemen, little off subject here. I just recently picked up a what I think, and from what I've read, a very rare mailer that was sent out to radio stations for the single Saturday's Father from the Genuine Imitation Life Gazette album. Now, is this Bob Gaudio's daughter on the cover?
That's in the book. That's
yes.
In the hardcover book in the box set.
Right, but there's no information. But is this Daniel Gaudio?
Doesn't look like her, but I have no idea.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do a little more research because I want to do kind of like a music memorabilia.
Supposedly, their voices are on the record. The Saturday's Father, the record. You hear those little children voices in the background.
Oh,
that's supposed to be Gaudio's children.
Okay.
Whether that's an actual picture, I would guess it probably is, but I don't know.
Okay. Just wanted to know if anybody knew. But anyway, back to the ending of the show. Now, Carmine, Jersey Boys, you're also a Jersey Boys fan, right? The play Jersey Boys?
Yes. I think I saw it about 4 times. Yeah.
Carmine, that brings me, I think the first time I saw you, did you go on that bus tour, the Jersey Boys bus tour?
With Audrey Rockwood, yes, I did.
Yeah. There was a YouTube video of that, and in retrospect, when I saw pictures of you on Facebook, I said, "Oh, I think I recognize that face." And they stopped at Jim Petrecka's memorabilia store.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. In fact, I have the original recording of that show. I was able to acquire it from Jim
Pacheco.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, Carmine,
Yeah.
you're in that video, correct?
Yeah.
I guess so. But I saw the last time I saw Jersey Boys. Getting back to, I saw at the Paper Mill Playhouse in Jersey. It was terrific, you know. And it's funny, the guy who played Nick Massey looked more like him than anybody else who played him.
Really? Now, this was what, about a month or two back?
Yeah, his name was Robert Lenzi, an Italian guy. He had that curl, he had that face, looked just like Nick Massey, only he was taller.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw that was playing at the Paper Mill Playhouse in Millburn, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Right. I went there. We got tickets, you know, to go there. So I went. Yeah.
I just can't believe, and if I'm correct, this is now the 20th anniversary of Jersey Boys, correct, gentlemen?
Yeah, yeah.
The
But like
opening in La Jolla, in La Jolla, California.
In La Jolla, because it came on to Broadway. Was it
November 5th, 2005.
Okay, so it's the 20th anniversary of opening up on Broadway also then, correct?
Well, no, it'll be next year.
I thought you said 05.
Yeah, so 20 years would be 25.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're not a math whiz, are you there, George?
I'm okay, but something went
I got
wrong.
one question I want to address.
Go ahead, Carmine.
This Jersey Boys is celebrating 20th years of awesome success. I don't think there's any other musical biopic that's going to touch it or has beaten it. Have you?
Not yet.
To this point, no, definitely not.
No, I think Jersey Boys.
I feel that they should brag about it in a sense. So, because again, even if you make a play about Elvis Presley or the Beatles, they assume because they're much bigger, it's a guaranteed shoe-in, but that's not true.
No, those were all failures. That's
all
why
failures.
Yeah, no one expected Jersey Boys to be a hit because all those so-called, musicals, whatever term they use, I can't think of the exact term.
Jukebox musicals.
Jukebox musicals have been failures. The Beach Boys, Elvis Presley.
I know.
Yeah.
But you know what? This thing had something special about that no other musical biopic have. I don't care who they mention and all that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, it deserves to be recognized as the most successful music biopic up to this point. It deserves to be.
And I would agree with you. And from what I've read, I think it's like the 10th, 11th, or 12th most successful play on Broadway.
Yeah, of any type. Just Broadway music.
Of any type. And like Bob Gaudio has mentioned, he had a friend tell him, a friend who had just seen the play years back,
Larry Brown,
that this Jersey Boys play was going to be bigger than the actual band. and it's huge. I mean, it has kept the band alive. Frankie Valli's always been out there, but of course he's still performing for sellout crowds.
Yeah.
But
speaking about a concert, one person posted on one of the Frankie Valli Four Seasons sites that he had one of they sort of loudest standing ovation he ever got. I don't know where it was at, but he still gets it.
Well, let me tell you, the last few concerts I've been to these past 3-4 years, the standing ovations and the crowd participation has just been off the wall. I mean, it's just incredible. It's just incredible. Well, go ahead, Carmine.
I'm just wondering what other artists is getting these type of standing ovations off the wall. Who could we think of?
Well, there's, you got your
probably all do, but none of them are 90 years old.
Yeah.
That's what makes Frankie unique,
Yeah, exactly. So are we looking at 2025 as the last year of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons band performing?
I would think so. I mean, he's going to be 91 in April, or May. I'm sorry,
May. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. I would think
be it. Yeah,
probably should be.
Yeah, again, him and his vast catalog of music with his Four Seasons band has just been such a huge part of my life since I was 12 years old. And I don't know, it's going to be tough to see him not walk onto a stage to perform anymore. But
anyway, all those videos.
Yeah, you're right.
I've been rewarded by being a fan, by getting to know Joe Long and stuff like that.
Exactly. That is, this is part of my documentation of interviewing first generation for Frankie Valli Four Seasons fans like you, Carmine, like you, Anthony, a real Jersey boy who is a fan and has met the members of the band or people related to the band. And I just think it needs to be documented. It's important. And Carmine, I want to thank you for your time. Okay.
My pleasure with you and with Anthony. It's been great, and we ought to do it again sometime. Go into
Sure,
it again.
sure. I mean, Carmine did such a great job with giving me over 23 pages of information on him as a fan, on his music collecting. I mean, he spent a few weeks on it, and this is something that's going to go in
Put
my
that in your collection there, George.
Oh yes,
the collection.
Oh yes, it sure is. Again, just talking to first generation fans for me is just something that I cherish, and your stories need to be told. Plain and simple. Your stories need to be told. Anthony, any closing comments?
Oh, well, George is also a bit of a political analyst as well.
Yeah.
I do enjoy politics.
I think we also agree on his political views besides his musical views.
Definitely do. Definitely.
Yes, exactly. But anyway, I want to thank you both. I want to thank both of you, and we'll get this show on the air. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care, George. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay. Have